Welcome back high above the Weathertech Raceway Laguna Seca here in the Monterey Hills of California. Trans Am's Speed Fest continues live with Ben Sissel and Jonathan Green. And we've had some great racing. A TA2 race specifically was really good. Here's Scott Borchetta's number 98, 1969 Chevrolet Corvette with his lightning bolt on the front, a la Unza. And there is Scott Borchetta. Busy man these days.
He really is, and he was with us last weekend at Sonoma Raceway. There is a beautiful Cobra of Jim Farley. We have a lot of Ford Cobras here this weekend, but that one has that European Le Mans style hardtop. Jim Farley flew out here Friday after his earnings report with the Ford Motor Company. Really great to have him out here. A beautiful car.
I was about to say, he can surely pick any Ford he wants to drive, right?
Yeah, but he loves that car. And once you find that one that kind of fits like a glove, you know, that's the one you want to stay with. And just beautiful. I love this grid of the West Coast American muscle cars. It's a lot of fun. Tony's getting us some great shots down there. And that's a pretty full grid, especially considering the next group out is the historic Trans Am cars, which are like Group 6 cars, American muscle cars, but they actually raced in the Trans Am series from 1966 to 1972 and have to be set up that way as we look at that Ray dot mirror of that beautiful Cobra. I love the lines of the Cobra because it's a British, you know, the lines are British, but then it's got that big American V8 making for a great race car. Then that looks kind of like the Bud Moore Tribute Boss 302 of Parnelli Jones and George Fulmer. Beautiful car there. I love the lines and the pinstripes of those Boss 302s. We're waiting for our grid sheets, or else we'd be telling you who is behind the wheels of these cars.
I can do that for you. The 21 that we were just looking at, that's Steve Ettimauer. And we're now looking at the all red, gloves off. Just waiting for the number.
I wish I had a camera in that car. See that empty GoPro case? That's where my eyes go to.
Yeah, I'll bet.
So as you can see, we have a full paddock here at Weathertech Raceway Laguna Seca, the Trans Am Speed Fest. We have about 60 Trans Am current cars. We have about 30 historic Trans Am cars. Then we have about 40 other cars that would have qualified to race in the Trans Am series at some point, including the Wally Dallenbach Greg Pickett car that raced here. We have the Scott Pruitt Trans Am winning car.
Do you think he's a member of the Cobra Club of America?
So I think he has been for at least, looks like since
2014.
Yeah. We got 2 minutes on the grid. Becky Pengraff is down at the grid, giving 2 minutes to all the drivers. That's kind of the anxious time, making sure everything's battened down the hatches. Look at these beautiful Cobras too.
Well, we've been talking about this Laguna Seca circuit for most of the day, and it never does any harm before these guys get into the fray to have another closer look at it. Let's take a look at the track guide to the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca circuit. The Laguna Seca circuit is a classic 2.2 miles undulating through the Monterey hillsides of California. First of all, through the Andretti hairpin, then fast-flowing 3, 4, and 5, before heading uphill towards turn 6 and the Ray Hall straight that leads to the famous corkscrew, dropping over 155 feet down to the right-hander Rainy curve before the very tight last corner, turn 11, and that is a lap of this classic California circuit. And pretty much anybody who is anybody in motor racing terms has raced this famous circuit over the years.
Yeah, we've got Group 6 about to go on the track of WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. And look at this, first 2 cars out there were just with us in the TA2 race of Scott Borchetta and Dave Kanicki. Both a 1969 Chevrolet Corvettes, followed by Jim Farley in a 1966 Ford Cobra, Don Yount in a Chevrolet Camaro, Chris Springer in a Chevrolet Corvette, Steve Park starting 6th in a 1965 Shelby Cobra, Steve F. Tamu in a Ford Mustang Boss 302, J.P. Griffith in a Chevrolet Corvette, Craig Skeels in a 1965 Ford Mustang, Tim Park, 1964 Shelby Cobra, Lynn Park in a 1965 Cobra 427. In 12th is Frank Manning in a Chevrolet Corvette Coupe from 1964. Mike Bacchiacco in a 1966 Ford Mustang. John Anderson in a 1963 Chevrolet Corvette. A.C. DeAugustine, always in beautiful cars. This time he's with us in a 1965 Chevrolet Corvette L88. Chadwick Manista, 1963 Chevrolet Corvette. Andrew Alcatzer in a 1969 Shelby GT350. This was one of Rick's favorite cars last weekend with us at the Sonoma Raceway. Colin Mullen in a 1967 Mercury Cougar that looks like a tribute car to some of those Gurney Cougars from the Trans Am days. We've got Dennis Fitz in a 1967 Chevrolet Corvette. David Bruder in a 1965 Ford Mustang GT350. Tom Diaz in a 1965 Ford GT350 Mustang. George Wright in a Chevrolet Corvette. Robert Stockwell in a 1965 Ford Mustang. Michael Doyle in a 1961 Jaguar E-Type Coupe. Doug Manista in a 1965 Chevrolet Corvette Coupe. Jonathan Long in a 1964 Ford Falcon. Jana Griffith, 1964 Chevrolet Corvette Coupe. Jay Peril in a 66 Shelby GT350. And rounding out 29 cars, John Wiggins, 1963 Chevrolet Corvette. I'm so excited for these huge fields as Jesse brings us our grid sheets. This is going to be a fun race, Jonathan.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to it. Now you've gone through it, it really does show just how big and strong a field this is. And we've got all the names and runners. Looking forward to this one. And we didn't get much of a race in the last group, so let's hope we get more from this one. And we are about to go racing.
Some cool cars. That Jaguar E-Type, that Ford Falcon. I love this stuff.
Yeah.
This is going to be a lot of fun to watch. There's that Cobra of Jim Farley there. Some beautiful cars. Lots of Cobras. I think this is the most Cobras I've seen in a Group 6 field with us in quite some time.
Yeah, they're all, I watched them preparing them yesterday, and they're all grouped together and sort of helping each other out. But yeah, fantastic sight to see them all on track now together.
A Cougar. Love those Mercury Cougars, especially in that kind of tan green livery.
Yeah, that E-Type looks good too.
Yeah, I love this. Got to root for the British cars in this American muscle car field.
Absolutely. I don't doubt you on that one.
Look at this now. Scott Borchetta wants to bring them as slowly to the line as possible.
Now, am I right in saying this is the race that Scott Borchetta at Atlanta won by a country mile? He was about 10 seconds ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, yeah, and expect to see that same thing here again today.
Here we go then. Scott Borchetta leads the way in the 98 and roars into action. I watched them prepare that. They had a transmission change overnight on Thursday night, and Scott was a little bit worried that they weren't going to get it out in time for practice, but they did, and as you can see, it's in fine fettle now as he dives into Andretti Curve, being followed by the 96. And a good clean start finally underway after a slight delay, but we are racing.
Went off. Who went off? That's Scott Borchetta went off.
No!
Oh, this is going to be good.
Ha-ha!
Scott Borchetta back on in that Johnny Lightning livery tribute kind of Owens Corning Corvette there in the number 98. Drops himself back to probably about 6th, 7th, 8th position as Jim Farley takes the lead at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, in that beautiful Ford Cobra.
Yep, and I asked the question, how well would Scott Borchetta fare, given that he was just in a very, very frantic top 10 finish in TA2. So he's been at it for 100 miles already in the hot sunshine here. And maybe that mistake, I don't want to put it on him because
I'll tell you what I think it is. I think he was just in his TA2 car, just did a bunch of laps, and he hit the same braking point.
Probably.
And, you know, a 60s Corvette doesn't quite have that kind of braking points as a modern TA2 car. But expect him to work his way through the field. He might have more fun in this race than one he's had in quite a while.
Yeah, let's take a look at what happens. So Scott Borchetta dives into the first corner, Andretti. He just goes wide here, and he just runs out of road. And look, there he is, off into the gravel. He was very lucky, actually, not to hit the tire wall and damage that car.
Love it.
The last thing he wants to do.
Great replays from green light here. I love the sound of this. There he is, Scott Borchetta.
He's back on the road. He had a little prang in his TA2 car at Sonoma last weekend at Turn 8, I heard. I didn't see it. You were there. But look at him drive. So, but he's just enjoying this. He's just going to side his way through.
Yep. Now he's moving up through Don Yount right there as we come up. But what a great field of cars. Group 6, we've got Jim Farley up front, followed by Chris Springer, Don Yount. It should be a good race.
And Ben, we are joined in the commentary booth by a man who knows what's going on out there because he's involved in the fray and will be this weekend. Simon Gregg, delighted to have you on board. What's going on? Of course. Well, thank you. Absolutely. How are you getting on? How's your car? Good. Yeah, I saw you at the beginning of the weekend, and you were like, "Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Steady as you go, as it were." Always happy to have you up on board, and like you say, looking forward to getting out there. How are the conditions out there? Nobody complaining. Is the grip level getting better as the weekend's going on?
Yeah, it's pretty good. You know, the surface has a low grip, but the surface is pretty smooth and about as fast as it was last year.
Now, you've got a lot going on at the moment. You were at Sonoma last weekend, and I know representing the Peter Gregg Foundation. So while we've got you here, let's get to that. What tell us what's happening with that, because I read the press release. That is really exciting for anybody who's interested in being, not as a racing driver, but being involved in this fantastic sport. And you've got a scholarship now.
Yes, Peter Gregg Foundation seeks to attract, educate, and train and support future sports car mechanics and engineers, and I'm having fun with this new organization. I've got a good team around me, including Anita and Mel, and my brother's here today too. So
wow,
it's fun.
Got the whole family here, got the whole crew. And what if somebody wants to, take advantage of that? What would they do?
Well, we're going to award. You can apply to age 17 to 21, regardless of age, gender, creed, and you got to do that before July 1st. So, and then we're going to have the scholarship program too. It's going to be 5 scholarships, and that's going to be a 3-month program in Jacksonville, Florida. We're going to be rebuilding a 944 turbo to club racing specs. Yeah.
But a great opportunity for somebody who wants to learn about the mechanics of both modern and historic cars and just how they tick too, because I wouldn't say it's a dying art, but there's still a lot to be learned dealing with both the simplicity of some cars and the complexity of modern cars as they are today. I mean, a basic car is a basic car, but once you really start to pull it apart, there's a lot to learn and a lot to get wrong and a lot to get right.
Well, yeah, it takes a lot of people to run these cars, to restore them. They're high tech. I mean, even these historic cars might be low tech, but they still have a lot of parts and pieces that are, lightweight and high maintenance.
So what do you fancy running out there at the moment?
Well, in this class, I'd love to run a C3 Corvette with about 700 horsepower. I think they have a nice body and good drivetrain. But or Mustang or Camaro is pretty good too, but I like those old Corvettes.
And tell us a little bit about the Gregg dynasty for those that don't know. This is something that's gone on for a fair few years, right?
Yeah, but Jason and I grew up, in a racing family, and Dad raced Porsches for many years, especially in the 70s. He won a lot of IMSA races and Trans Am.
I'm sure probably here too, right?
That's right. Yep.
Well, did you grow up on the West Coast?
No, we're from the East Coast, Florida. Yeah, and Peter built a dealership there called Brumos, and he did well with that.
He was that little place.
Yeah.
I've heard they've done okay over the years.
Well, he raced mainly Porsches and BMWs for 1 year. had a good record at Daytona 24 Hours.
Yeah, amazing record. The Brumos story at Daytona 24 Hours is sublime. It's second to none. And yeah, you must be very proud.
Yeah, I'm proud. This is my legacy. But yeah, anyone at WeatherTech, free to stop by Burton Racing trailer next to the Trans Am Tech Inspection trailer. And those not in attendance can download the Peter Gregg Foundation Scholarship Program brochure at petergreggfoundation.org.
And a worthy cause, no question about it, with a chance of a scholarship. Really, really, really good. And I tell you what, tell me a little bit more about racing here at Laguna, because we've had a few. I've had Adam in here, we've had Adrian Lostowski, and we'll have a few over the weekend. But what makes this place so special for these guys and for yourself going out there?
Well, my favorite turn is the corkscrew. I like the way you slam on the brakes with an uphill blind approach, and then it's like driving off of a ski jump when you go down. Yeah. That's very blind too, and then the area around here, it's sort of like Sonoma, except it's got the more seaside and great weather, and it's a lot of history. It's not a real long lap, but it's pretty technical.
And of the tracks you go to, we've got Lime Rock coming up. We've just been to a Road Atlanta, two great, very different circuits, and of course Laguna different again. What's your favorite place to go and get set up?
Well, I would say on the West Coast, Sonoma is my favorite track, but Laguna's about even.
Yeah, they're pretty similar in terms of wanting to go there.
Yeah, but back east, I love Road America, and Daytona is for my home track and for horsepower, but Road America for all-around track because it's long and everything else about it.
It wasn't until I walked to Canada Corner that I realized just how big Road America was.
Yeah, so you got 3 long straightaways and a lot of 90-degree turns, which make good passing zones, and there's a nice little town down the road from there. It's a little out of the way getting there, but once you're there, it's a nice place to stay for a while.
Oh, no,
it's got everything you need for the drivers and for the people visiting. How's Tony Perillo, the SVRA boss, running? I'm watching him and Borchetta. Looks like he's 5 laps down.
Yeah, Borchetta's made a mistake at the first corner, but he's back into the lead. James Farley of Ford fame is out there.
I was looking for Dreesy out there. He's supposed to be in a 70 Camaro.
No, that's not it.
Yeah.
I don't think.
He's out in historic Trans Am.
No, HTA. Yeah.
Okay.
That's coming up very soon.
This group can be confused with that group sometimes.
Yes.
But yeah, I like it when they have the Pro-Ams in this class. That's interesting format when you have the hour races with 2 drivers, and this is quite a competitive group here.
Yep. So Scott Borchetta has recovered, and he's already taken a massive lead, as he often does in this group. James Farley second, Chris Springer in third place, Don Yount up to 4th now, and as you can see, there's the number 29 coming through your shot. And into that favour. What's the hardest corner here? I mean, you mentioned the corkscrew, but this Andretti turn can it seems to go on forever, and you can get hung out to dry trying to be aggressive on the outside there, can't you?
That's tricky. Turn 3 of this corner is quite slick. There's no camber to help you.
Yeah.
And I'd say 2 and 3. The braking into 1's very intense, and then 6 and 7 are pretty interesting too. You got this is 6, this next corner, and that's medium speed. But the next one, 7, is about the fastest turn on the track. I enjoy that one.
Yeah, and you're going uphill to almost an abyss, and then you turn directly left up that Ray Hall straight, and this is what I'm talking about. You're literally going up into the air, and then you turn in, and you're going back uphill again. It's like a double run uphill.
Yeah, these tracks are like a roller coaster ride, parts of them.
Yeah. Well, you can see it from here. We look down across the Ray Hall Straight, and that really gives you an insight, doesn't it?
I enjoy the view with the drone use for filming in these races.
Yeah, it's totally changed the whole the whole complexion, I think, of racing in modern day racing, even watching historics, because you get a perspective of that rainy curve and how much it curves and how tight turn 10 is, and more importantly, how tight and how turn 11 literally turns back on itself almost. Tricky corners, which you get to see more from a drone.
Yeah, that last turn is really difficult to get a good exit out of.
Yeah.
Not much grip getting off of that. It's quite tight and narrow. But
So just over 2 minutes to go. You're listening to the voice of Simon Gregg, and we've been talking about the Peter Gregg Foundation, a very worthy cause and a great opportunity as well to get a scholarship and be part of that foundation and learn how to be involved in motorsport if you're interested. And I'd have to say, if I had to do it all again, I enjoy what I'm doing, but I would love to have got a chance to learn how to work with these cars and learn the mechanics, because I think that gives you an appreciation of just what these designers back in the day, especially with the historics, were able to come up with and how they move things forward to what we now drive ourselves on a regular basis.
Yeah, these historic cars have a lot of character. They all have unique designs and engineering. You know, you've got different size engines. You know, you got your mid-engine, your front engine, rear engine, air-cooled, water-cooled, everything else out there.
Well, that road you're seeing is the road out of... I saw that bus leaving and I thought, that's not on the track. No, that's just our drone showing us high above and onto the Ray Hall Straight. There's the top of the hill. That's the highest point at Laguna Seca. And then it drops down. How many lines are there through here? Because through the corkscrew?
Oh, there's only one line. That corner worker station at the corkscrew is unusually high up, too. That's a good view up there. But, yeah... The approach to the corkscrew, when you turn in, you have to keep it lined up on line because you sort of aim for the trees when you're going through the middle of that turn.
Well, Scott Borchetta has had a dramatic run at this one. He went off at turn 1 in the first lap and then recovered brilliantly, and now he is almost 20 seconds ahead of the chasing pack in that 1969 Corvette. A prized possession of his as he dives down the hill.
How was that TA2 race a little while ago?
Oh, fantastic.
Oh,
really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, Rafa deserved it. A great move to take the lead. He said it was a go-kart turn to overtake it. It pretty much was.
I see.
So Scott Borchetta absolutely dominating as he often does here. Coming up on the 44 now of George Wright in another 1963 Corvette. And there's the checkered flag, and once again our Group 6 former champion, and probably going to be so again, Scott Borchetta wins here, as well as the top 10 in TA2. We're looking forward to seeing Simon in action later in the weekend. How you going? You got your qualifying coming up?
Yes, qualifying's at 4:50, and we're trying to, looking at a top 5 possibly in qualifying, and then see if we can get on the podium during the race tomorrow at 1:30. And it was fun coming up here in the booth.
You're always welcome. You're always welcome. And how you holding back Tommy? I said
he's
to
fun to work with.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, and we're working together in data, and it's a blast being around the team.
Yeah, we did a nice little bit with his Vic Elford Camaro from 1970 that you should say he'll be doing an HTA with. Looking forward to seeing that car in action. And, of course, he'll be alongside you in the Burton Racing team in the TA Championship. And we'll be looking for another pole, I'm sure.
That's right. Yeah, the car's quite fast. He's good with it. Knows the team.
Yeah, a good little team, too. And I say a little team, they're not so little compared to some teams, but a very professional setup at Burton Racing.
That they are. Yeah, Tommy's a great supporter of the foundation and a longtime friend of mine.
Yeah. And he did a nice piece, like I said, about Vic Elford, who's going through some tough times at the moment. And, in fact, Brian Redman has set up a GoFundMe for Vic Elford. So if you want to go online, look out for that Vic Elford GoFundMe page. So we'll take a short break here from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and we'll be back. My thanks to Simon Gregg joining us here in the booth. We'll be right back in a moment.